Hi, welcome to Give Me the Bible, where God's Word speaks for itself. In this video, we want to talk about restoring a healthy fear for God in our lives as Christians. And when I say fear, I don't mean the sense that we should just be walking around on eggshells because He might kill us at any moment, or some sort of irrational fear like that. No, but fear in the sense of reverence and awe, and recognizing that He does have the power and the authority and the ability to punish if He wants. God commends this in the Scriptures. In fact, in Deuteronomy chapter 5, Moses is recounting how when God appeared on Mount Sinai to give His people the Ten Commandments, they were terrified and they wanted to run away, and they actually wanted Moses to go talk to God because they said, God is too frightening for us. And God actually commends them for that, and He says in Deuteronomy 5, "Oh, that they had such a heart in them, that they would fear me and keep all my commandments always, that it may be well with them and with their sons forever." And we see that God's people throughout history, when they're acting righteously, it's because they've got a healthy fear of the Lord. And those who are punished are people who operated without that fear, without that respect and that reverence and that understanding that God is to be treated as holy and He is to be obeyed. Look, for instance, in Leviticus chapter 10. Leviticus 10, you have Nadab and Abihu who offer a sacrifice to God, but they don't do it the right way. They don't do it the way God told them to. It says in verse 1 of Leviticus 10, "Now Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took their respective fire pans, and after putting fire in them, placed incense on it, and offered strange fire before the Lord, which He had not commanded them. And fire came out from the presence of the Lord and consumed them, and they died before the Lord. Then Moses said to Aaron, It is what the Lord spoke, saying, By those who come near me I will be treated as holy, and before all the people I will be honored." So Aaron, therefore, kept silent. You see things like this all throughout Scriptures, that they took very seriously the fact that a person may be disobeying God. In fact, in Joshua chapter 22, there was some confusion because the 2.5 tribes that were located to the east of the Jordan River built an altar to God. Now, you would think that would be good, wouldn't you? That they were building an altar to God to offer sacrifices to Him. Well, look what happens when the entire congregation finds out what they did. Verse 12, Joshua 22:12, "When the sons of Israel heard of it, the whole congregation of the sons of Israel gathered themselves at Shiloh to go up against them in war." In war. This was absolutely unacceptable to build an altar to God, whether it was good intention or not, because guess what? The only altar God told them to build was the one at the tabernacle. Now, when you read the rest of the story, you'll find out that everything actually was okay, because it wasn't really an altar for sacrifice. It was just kind of a memorial that they set up. They weren't going to actually use it to sacrifice because that would be sin. That would be something God never told them to do. And there are just so many things like that. But what has happened is we've come to the New Testament, and people today have just completely forgotten those lessons that God was trying to teach us, that He is holy and that He is to be regarded as somebody with authority and the power to punish those who disobey Him. And we've kind of we basically taught that, well, God was kind of a punishing God in the Old Testament, but then He became a Christian, in the New Testament, and now He's all love, and we can kind of do whatever we want. Well, even in the New Testament, we see that God strikes Ananias and Sapphira dead in Acts chapter 5 for lying to Him. Okay, and we have a passage in Hebrews. Look in Hebrews chapter 12. Notice what he says in Hebrews 12 in verse 28. He's talking to Christians here, and he says, "Therefore, since we receive a kingdom which cannot be shaken, let us show gratitude, by which we may offer to God an acceptable service with reverence and awe, for our God is a consuming fire." The reason you see so many denominations today is not because everybody's got their own interpretation. That's really not what's at the heart of it. What's at the heart of it is a lack of fear for being serious about keeping God's Word and doing what He says right here in the Bible. And if we're missing these lessons from the Bible, it just it leads to all kinds of division. It leads to the different denominations. It leads everybody to say, well, it doesn't really matter what we believe. It doesn't really matter what we practice. As long as we all believe in God and we're just, we're all going to the same place. Those statements are rooted in a lack of healthy fear of trying to make sure that we follow the teachings of God, and specifically in the New Testament, Jesus and his apostles and prophets. I hope that that's clear and helpful, and Lord willing, I'll see you next time.